Thanks for joining us. I'm Marlon Bowling with you, your tour guide to the ag commodities. It's here. It's WASDE Day. Yes, it's here. All the market participants have been anticipating today. Whether for good or for bad, that number will come out at noon Eastern Time and 11 o'clock Central Time, and it will dictate what the markets do from here on out through the rest of the growing season to a large extent. Now, we'll have live coverage right here after the numbers come out. I'll grab them right off the printer, and we'll go through them together and find out if USDA has any surprises for us or not. In fact, we just had a little bit of a surprise. We had a USDA overnight export sale. And it's also a little bit different because it's not soybeans and it does not involve China. This time it is a sale of some corn, and this time it actually went to Mexico. What was the amount? Well, it was, let me double check here, it was 143,637 tons. There it is, 143,637 to Mexico. Now, they like to buy things in odd numbers, which is evident right there. But we thank them for the business, and that might give the corn market a little bit of a boost here this morning. To find out, we'll bring in Mr. Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions, and we'll discuss a little bit. Is that going to be enough to move the needle today, or is the fear of the WASDE report going to overarch everything?
Good morning, Marlon. Well, it's our second sale this week of corn to Mexico, second day that we've had a purchase. So it's an encouraging sign as we get below the $5 mark that we're starting to see a little demand pick up for corn. And really, the job of this corn market, we expect to see a big crop this year, over 15 billion bushels, whatever the USDA says today, whether they lower yields or 1 or 2 bushels an acre like the trade expects, or if it's unchanged, it's still going to be a big crop, 15 billion bushels. The problem is going to be to work through that crop and the demand side of the equation. So the job of the market is to find a price level that's going to stimulate some demand. Where do we make some sales? At what price level do foreign countries step in and see this as an opportunity to buy? And Mexico apparently sees below $5 as an opportunity to step in and start buying some of our corn. And so that will give us some support as we go into the early stages of harvest. Now, it may not give us a lot of support today because we're looking ahead at this WASDE report at 11 o'clock and anticipating that it could be a little bit friendly with the smaller ending stock, smaller yield, smaller overall production forecast. But it's going to need to be, I think, because the weather has been good for the month of August so far, and USDA may not make a lot more yield changes based off of what we've seen as far as rainfall potential and yields so far this month in the next report in September. So I think it's imperative they make some changes today, some cuts. They certainly have room on the balance sheet, even if they cut 185 million bushels of production like the trade expect. Ending stocks are still expected to be over 2.15 billion bushels. It's going to be a chore to get through that type of ending stock over the next 9 to 12 months.
Now, you happen to have one of the companies that is included in that survey, correct? On the average of analysts across the country. It's done by the Wall Street Journal. So what did you come up with for your own numbers when it comes to U.S. production here?
Yeah, you're right. We do submit our estimates every month to these surveys, the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and Reuters. And what we do, we have offices all around the Midwest. So we take a survey of our brokers in our offices, what they've talked with their clients, to try and get a more objective survey than just what I may feel or one person may feel. And we actually came up with the soybean yield unchanged at 52 bushels an acre and just a very small corn yield reduction to 177.4. So we don't expect to see a lot of changes from the USDA as far as yield goes in this report. Now, there's really no precedent for history what the USDA has done in this report. Sometimes they've lowered yield, sometimes they've increased yield, sometimes they've left it unchanged. The last 3 years, soybeans have closed higher on this date. 7 of the last 10 years, corn has closed higher after this report. So there's a little bit of a history to close higher today, but it's really what happens after that and what the USDA says as far as yields going forward. Because, like I said, either way we look at this, we're probably going to have a 15 plus billion bushel corn crop to try and work through this year.
And we will get an estimate of the wheat production this year, right?
Yes. So early estimates are spring wheat numbers expect to be down about 4 million bushels overall, very small changes, while the overall production ticked higher for all wheat by about 4 million bushels. So they expect the winter wheat contracts to increase production by about 8 million bushels in this report. It's going to be probably very quiet as far as wheat goes, and maybe wheat won't be the leader. Probably going to look to corn and soybeans as a leadership after this report's all said and done. And of course, we're going to watch closely what is going on with South American production. CONAB this week increased their estimate of Brazil's second crop in Safrinha crop, and they overall expect this crop to be 129 million tons, a new all-time record.
So the corn is fractionally lower this morning on the Globex trade. The soybean trade that we just had up on the screen, it's mainly a little bit higher, but not all the months. And if we take a look here at the Chicago wheat overnight, what did it do? Well, it was about 2 to 3 lower on the front months. Welcome back in a moment, and we'll talk about the livestock trade. What's it doing before the weekend? We'll discuss when we come back. Okay, we're back with Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. All right, Brian, I would imagine livestock producers are going to keep a close eye on this WASDE report as well. How come?
Yeah, of course, the corn prices are going to be such a major influence on their feed components this next year. But also, they're wanting to buy some feeder calves right now, maybe place them on grass for a couple months before they go into the feedlot. Really want to know what the corn market's going to do and how big of a crop we're going to produce, if they need to be locking in that corn price or not. We've not seen much in the way of cash cattle trade. Some dress trade in the north at about steady to $1, maybe $2 higher. The Southern Plains still have not traded much, and we expect we will see quite a bit of cash trade sometime today before the closing bell. Futures market anticipating it'll be at higher money. The Packers are bidding 180 in the Southern Plains. That's steady with a week ago, and we're really expecting to see 181 or 182 in that Southern Plains before everything is all said and done today.
On the wholesale beef cutout values that were posted by USDA yesterday, it looks like we continue to have a little bit of slippage on that wholesale market. Does that concern you moving forward, that we'll have a lot to the downside yet or not?
300 on the choice should act as good support for that market. I don't know that we're going to slip much below that. For the most part this week, we've kind of been steady, choppy mix, or even higher. And we did see some weakness yesterday. A lot of this is what's going to happen with those product values is going to depend on what we are doing on a slaughter level, what the Packers are doing. I think it's going to be hard to hit 620,000 head this week, and that will probably limit as much downside in the product. When we're not killing as many animals, that product market should stabilize. So I think at least the 300 should act as support, and have more of a choppy type market here going forward.
If you had to venture a guess, do you have any? You want to take a stab at some penny calls this morning?
I would look for the cattle market to be a little firmer here to start off this morning. We had a pretty good run in the futures yesterday. I think it's going to be very choppy until we get more cash news, or what we can, or at least some Packer bids anyway, and then the market can react. So I would venture a little higher in the cattle, but very choppy and probably two-sided in the first hour of trade.
All right. Well, thanks for the input this morning, and good luck riding through the report today. Could be an adventure. Brian Hoops is with Midwest Market Solutions. Have a good weekend, Brian. We'll talk to you soon.